Hello, my Teaser King family. Oh, this work. How's everybody today? I am fine. I hope you are well. Um, Today is Thursday, right? I lose my track. I lose track. But I think it is Thursday. Yes. So we got gold, 41.21. Silver, we're in 60. So good news. We went all the way down to 40.30 yesterday. We had this huge drop from 41.40 to 48, 40.60. But it's fought all the way back, as Mark McGuire said it would. He said they're buying the dips, China. So anytime it does drop, it's going to go right back up. So good news there. Um, let's see. My court ticket. So I get a ticket for not coming to a complete stop on a flashing red July 4th. So I have to go out, and it's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 o'clock, July 4th. There's a light on a very little intersection, not like a major one, like 7 Mile and Haggerty, which are big roads. You get to the light, but here was it was a storm, so the light lost power. On the light loses power. We have a storm, the power goes out, the light becomes a flashing red instead of a red, yellow, green. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't know. I thought it was just be cautious. Like you see the school lights go flashing yellow and you just drive right through it anyway. But this was a flashing red, and you're supposed to come to a complete stop. So as I'm approaching the light, I'm slowing down to check, is there anybody coming? And as quick as I am, I go, well, no, it's a subdivision there. It's a business, but it's July 4th and it's not open. There's absolutely no cars anywhere. Now I see this cop drive by as I'm trying to get out of my apartment, but I don't know what's going on. And he's just sitting there waiting at that light for people who aren't coming to a complete stop. So as I say, I'm probably going 10 miles an hour, checking, is there anybody coming? I see no, I keep going. I get the blue lights. Very rude policeman, and he basically didn't tell me really anything. He didn't even ask for my registration and insurance. He just took my license, and that was it. And I said, well, that's an old address. I moved here, because usually they don't give you a ticket if you're living in the in the area. They won't give you a ticket. They want to give tickets to the people who don't live in the area. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck? And he gives me this ticket, and he says, call within 3 to 12 days. I says, well, I don't want to, is there a way to not get points? He said, just call, which is very unusual, because normally the cop will he'll give you the ticket, but he'll say, oh, okay, I'll give it to you with no points and just go online and pay it. It's just a driving ticket. So here I just called. So it was like 4 days, but I was busy yesterday. So I called today, and she gave me October 5th at 8:30 to go in, but with everybody else. They just first come, first serve. And that it will be, I says, well, do I have points? She says, well, it's 3 points, but what does your driving history look like? So here's what I'm telling you. So if you have a good driving history, and I said, I haven't had a speeding ticket or a red light ticket or any of those in 30 years. She says, wonderful. What they'll do is call you for impeding traffic or something. which has no points. But instead of paying 140, you'll pay 175. I said, that's fine because my insurance, I'm sure, would have jumped up. And I thought maybe it's $500 now. Who knows? The money's not worth anything, right? So it went from 140 to 175. I'm sure I'll pay a percent for using a credit card. And so I go in Oktoberfest. She says it's just first come, first serve. Get here at 8:30. The appointment will be 8:40 with 5-10 other people. You meet a prosecutor in a little meeting room. Wear a golf shirt's fine. It'll take 5-10 minutes. They'll just look at your record, go, okay, we'll dismiss it for this. They'll change it. I'll pay them. And it's in their best interest to change it because my ticket as it stands is 140 with 3 points. If they change it, it's 175. So it's in their best interest to get 175 instead of 140. And the key is I haven't had a ticket in years. I've had very few speeding or red light tickets in a long time. And, you just kind of go with the flow. Like I'm on the highway. I'm very rarely doing 70 on a 70. I'm usually doing 80, but you're going with the flow of traffic. And I'm usually very careful, with red lights. And we all speed, but I'm just in a situation I'm not getting it. So I think it's more of a red light thing. So I'm pretty careful on red light. So anyway, so just for anybody out there, you can go in and kind of, if you don't have a lot of points, not a lot of tickets, they will adjust it to impeding, no points, which is really an insurance thing. And then you pay a little bit more. But I was happy it was only 175 and not 500. So I'm much relieved today. And on we go. So FYI, I did drop my phone and it's a little loose, as you can see. So I think I don't know if I can get it back in. So I think if I buy like one of these phone holders, it will hold it in place. And or if not, I'm going to put a rubber band around it because if it goes, I lose I won't be able to connect the phone. I don't think once it like pulls apart, I don't think there's a way to get it back in. Then you're into buying a new phone without being able to use this phone. So anyway, 41.23, we hit 41.37 just before 10. So I knew it was going down. Hopefully we'll have a good day. We can get to 4,200 and I can finally sell my little 1 ounce Cougar in. All right. Baseball yesterday. Free play, Washington wins. Cincinnati wins. So not bad, the free plays, right? I went 6-7 yesterday, but that doesn't necessarily mean we had a losing day because I do Timiot. So -6, -4, -2, -4, -1, +1, -1, -3, -5, -3, -1. So I have a -3 day. The Pittsburgh over game. I mean, it's crazy. You play it over and it wins all the time. And then they play a couple of under games and you're just assuming they're going to hit. So pretty difficult. Let's go through the games. All right. 41-24, so that's nice. Maybe I should run right away to Ann Arbor and get the 92%. All right, let's look at what happened yesterday. We start off with Toronto under 7. We have Dylan Cease going against a good pitcher on San Francisco. He was going against, I think, Roop. I think it was Roop. Anyway, so it was two good pitchers, and I thought I'll play it under, and Toronto won 10-0. So I killed the under. I did like Dylan Cease, but again, that's where we get caught. Do I take the Dylan Cease or the other pitcher's pretty good, play it under? And inevitably, it tends to get one-sided. Once in a while, we do get a 2-1 game, but you'll see these 10-0 games, and you're going, shit, I should have played Dylan Cease. I don't know, I liked him or the under. So we lose under 7. Pittsburgh over 9. The Cubs win 9-7. We don't play the Cubs, but they're hitting. Pittsburgh, Detroit 6, Oakland 1. We do play Detroit. 2 units, that wins. Tampa Bay 3, the Yankees nothing. We have Tampa Bay, we win. Atlanta 3, Pitt nothing. So we lose with Pitt over 9.5, and they get shut out. And it wasn't a great pitcher, so very confusing there. And then Pitt will score 15 runs, and you're like, Skane's pitches, they score a lot. And then this guy was not a great pitcher for Atlanta. So 3-0, Atlanta wins. So we played Pitt over. We would have lost anyway playing Pitt, but they didn't have a good pitcher, which is why we went over. It's shocking Pitt didn't score, basically. Miami 2, Seattle nothing. We play Seattle with their good pitcher, and he pitched well, but Miami's pitched well also. Look at the box score. So you really want to understand why you played what we played, right? Seattle gets 5 hits, Miami 8. For Seattle, it was Kirby, and Kirby's got a 3.76 ERA. Pitches 6 innings, 86 pitches, 8 hits, 2 runs. So he pitched fine. 7 strikeouts, gave up a home run. Really not the problem. Now Miami, we get Phillips, who we don't know who that is, a 3.28. He gives up 4 hits but no runs, and then the bullpen comes in, and we get Gibson with a 6 ERA, pitches 2 innings. They don't even get a hit. And then the next guy, 2.93, and then the last guy, 6.75, and they didn't hit. So Seattle did not hit. It's not like we were scared of Phillips and we liked Kirby. So the bet was fine, but that's all you can do is you got to bet before the game. I know everybody likes to bet after the game's over. Oh, I would have bet this one. My brother was like that. I'd tease a football game, and I'd cut from 7-1, and the team I picked won 37-10. He says, "Well, you didn't need the teaser." Well, yeah, but I have to bet the game before it starts. I don't have a crystal ball that says they're going to win 37-10. I don't need the teaser. Because there's a lot of games you need the teaser. They win by 3, and then I would go, aha, I needed the teaser in that game, and that shut them up. Anyway, Washington 8, Houston 2. I do play Washington, and that was our free play. And the pitcher was really good, and that's why we bet it. And there you go. Have a W. Our other free play, Cincinnati 11, Philadelphia 5. We have Cincinnati. That was your free play because their ace was on the mound against we don't know who against Philly. And here they had their bullpen in, and he gives up 11 runs. So 11-5 Cincy. It's not a lot I want to bet against Philly, but when you beat Sanchez the way they beat Sanchez, they're going to hit most of the pitching. Then they all get confidence, and that's why I like if you beat the ace to bet that team. So 11-5 Cincy. That was your second free play. The JETSs, 6, Kansas City 2. I don't play. I don't know who the pitchers are. Minnesota 6, Cleveland 5. I have Cleveland here. Uh, Minnesota's pitcher wasn't that good and hadn't been pitching well, and really didn't. It was 6-5. So that's the last thing you would expect is an over with Cleveland. Boston 5, the White Sox nothing. We play the White Sox. Dean Martin pitching. Gave up 5, but it didn't matter who was pitching. They didn't score. And it wasn't like an ace on Boston. It was just a regular Joe. St. Louis 5, Milwaukee 1. We played Milwaukee on the streak. They had beaten St. Louis 7 times in a row. And it wasn't like great pitching. And so we took Milwaukee and lost. However, we played them a double. We played them under 8. Oh, yeah, we had Harrison going. So because Harrison was going and they won 7 in a row, Harrison's got the 2.25 ERA, and he was 9-2. So we played Harrison, but we knew they wouldn't get a lot of runs. So we lose Milwaukee, but we win Milwaukee under 8. California and Texas, we play this game over 7.5 because the pitchers sucked, and I thought the line was too low. I thought it should have been a 9 or something. I will do that a lot. If I see 2 kind of weak pitchers with the 4 ERAs and the total 7.5, yeah, I'll jump on the over most of the time with that. And I win most of the time doing it. San Diego 10, Arizona 4. We didn't play that game. And then the Dodgers, we play over 10 with Colorado. Colorado scores 100 runs every game except for this one. So the Dodgers win 4-3. And the reason was Freeland had a 7 ERA, and the Dodgers only score 4 runs on him. So my bet is he only pitched 3 or 4 innings. So let's see. Freeland gives up 3 runs in the first, and that's it. Where was the rest of the hitting? And actually, he didn't even pitch. It was Hughes with a 3.0. So we got fucked on they switched pitchers. Bernardino, nothing. And then 306, they gave up 3 runs. Gave up 1 run. The Sensalata with a 306. The Dodgers, Sasaki, 4 runs. Gave up 4 hits and 3 runs and 6 innings with his 5.33 ERA. That was right. But the bullpen comes in 311, 235, 243, 263. And nobody gets a run. And that's what hurt us. Anyway, so that's what it is. So not a bad day. 6-7. Yeah. We got kind of surprised. Dean Martin didn't win. Harrison on Milwaukee didn't win. Cleveland didn't win. Seattle should have won. Pitt doesn't go over. We have Dylan Cease, but we play it under. So a lot of games that should have went didn't. And we actually hit a Detroit game, which is very rare. July 9th. It was just May. I moved in. Then it's June. Okay, I paid July's rent. It's July 4th. And now we're at July 9th. It's crazy. So that's about it. So let's go. We go Atlanta's at Pitt. Atlanta's 105, 9.5. Bryce Elder, 404. Mitch Keller, 504. Again, it looks like an over. We know Pitt plays a lot of overs. They got a lot of hitting. It's usually the manager that screws things up because he switches. He gives the guys a rest, and he bats all the 200 hitters instead of the 300 hitters. Elder's lost his last 3, some overs, some unders. His last 6 gives up 6 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, 6, 8, and 5. So this guy's really bad. Pittsburgh should light him up. Now, do we take over or Keller? Mitch Keller. Now he's 2 and 4 his last 6. A lot of overs. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 6-1 over. and he gives up 6 runs, 5-5, 3-4. Okay, I'm giving you this as your free play. Pitt over 9.5. And we're gonna go 3 units on it. So this is your free play, everybody. Right off the bat, 2 weak pitchers with a 4 ERA, but he's pitching more like a 6 or a 7 lately, and Keller with a 5 ERA. So that's your 9 runs right there. Provided we get, that they pitch 5 or 6 innings and they give up their 4 or 5 runs. Pittsburgh, after a shutout, will probably be a lot better. 9.5 seems very low for this game. So definitely like Pitt. They'll hit. And there you go. KC goes to the JETSs. We got Mahomes against Joe Namath today. If only we could do that. The Jets, 136-9. We got Michael Wakaka, 347 against Manea, 432. Total on the game is 9. So it's Mets 136-9. Waka. Ooh, he stunk. Waka. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. He's 9 and he's 1-9 his last 10. That means they've lost. Where do I have him? It was 1-7. Now it's 1-9. And oh wait, we haven't even checked the runs, which obviously can't be that good. His well, let's see. 5 out of his last 6 were unders. 6 runs, 5 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, a couple of 1-run games for 7 innings, and then a 4. The 1-run games were against Tampa. They won 2-1, and the White Sox, they lost 2-1. Phillies got him for 6. Yankees got him for 4. So maybe not a lot of runs. Let's see what Manea does for the J's. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. Some overs, some unders, and he's given up 2 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 6 runs. So he gives up some runs. So the question is, Waka, has had a few games where he gave up 1. His last 6 is 6-5, 4-3, 1-1, and a 4. And against the Mets, they can hit occasionally. All right. All right. Let's see if there's a second free play. Tampa 142, 7.5 against the Yankees. The game's in Tampa. Maybe Bobby's at this game. We got Phil Blackburn. I haven't heard his name in a while. Against Drew Rasmussen, the ace for Tampa, 2.78 ERA. So what is Paul Blackburn up to? Age 32. And this guy stinks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's 1-8 his last 9, but he's a bullpen guy. And what's he doing? Starting, and then we look at his ERA's 2.22, was 6.85 last year for the Mets, 5.54. This guy is really bad. Tampa Bay with Rasmussen is really good. Plus, you wonder who's coming into the game after Blackburn throws his 2 innings. Rasmussen is 3-3 his last 6, some over, some under. And his last 6, he gave up 5 runs, then a shutout, 1, 2, shutout, and a 5. So 5-0-0, 1-2-0, 5. So pretty good there. All right. Big edge to Tampa in that game. The Bears against the Baltimore Colts. We have Baltimore minus 126 and 10. Peterson, who sucks for the Bears, against Trevor Rogers, who sucks for the Orioles, 471. David Peterson. He was on the Mets. I got rid of him. I remember watching a game, and then he came into the game after like the second or third inning. It was like bullpen day, and then he was the meat of the thing. 1-4. Some mostly overs, which makes sense because he sucks. And last 6, shutout, 6 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs, 10 runs. So this guy is a pig. With his 8.61 ERA, makes sense. But do we go over 10 or do we take Baltimore? How good is Trevor Rogers? He's won his last 3. 5 of them have been unders. His last 6, 1 run, 3 runs, 2 runs, 0, 1, 0. All right. So his 4.71, his last 6 is not correct. Most of his were 1 runs and 0. So it might have been a 6 or 7 ERA that's now down. But if we look at his last 5 or 6, his ERA is like 1.5. And Peterson's 8.61 is 8.61. So I don't know about the 10, but I think Baltimore's guys are going to give up runs. Rogers is not. So let's give you the second free play. We'll go Baltimore. I got it for 2 units. The Cubs should not hit this guy, and Baltimore should hit this enough that we get enough that we win. But this Rogers is pretty good. We don't know that the Cubs are going to hit and we'll get over 10. That remains to be seen. Cleveland, Minnesota. Cleveland 125, 8.5 at Minnesota. Grant Williams, 391 against Braley Ober, 464. I don't think he's pitched in a while. Gavin Williams. He won 4 in a row, lost 3 in a row, won 2 in a row. A lot of overs. 5 of the last 6 have gone over. All 5 innings, 3 runs, 4 runs, 7, 2, 3, 3. So this guy gives up runs. 3.91 ERA. Yeah, that's about right. Total of 8.5 and 125. So let's see what over does. 4.64. He's 3-1 his last 4. He's over all the time. And he goes a lot of 4 or 5 inning games. So his last 6, 1 run, 5, 0, 3, 4, 8. So we'll treat this as a over game. See, and this is 8.5. And I think there's a big difference. Yesterday we had the Dodgers over 10, and they ended up 4-3. So I think there's a big difference. With, based on the number, like 7.5. I mean, I look at the pitchers, I get 7.5. You got to be kidding. Here the pitchers aren't very good, and it's 8.5, and it's at Minnesota. So I definitely think that's a low number, 8.5 with these pitchers. You can't just look at the ERAs. That's why we look at the last 5 or 6 games. We see Ober with the 4.64, but he's much higher. I think it was the last game, Trevor Rogers, 4.71. His last 6, he hasn't been over 2 runs. His last 6 has been probably a 2 ERA, and that's why we look at it. We don't want to just see the 4.71 or hear over 4.64. All right, the Red Sox and the White Sox. The White Sox 114-9. The Red Sox / Yellow Sox are 105. So the White Sox 114-9. They haven't really been hitting. We got Sandoval for Boston, so it sounds like reliever day. And he hasn't pitched at all this year or last year. In 2024, he had a 5.08 ERA, then a 4.11. In 23, a 2.91, and a 3.62. He's normally a starter, but he hasn't pitched yet, so he's been injured. So you got a guy who's probably going to go 4 or 5 innings, 70 pitches, and they'll pull him. He's a lefty against Kay, who was hot, Anthony Kay, but now he's not for the White Sox. So he had won 4 in a row, 5 out of 6, and now he's lost. He's 2-4 his last 6. So he's turned the corner. Most of his have been over 2, 4, 6. He's 6 overs and 1 under his last 7. He goes 4 and 5 innings a lot. 6 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs, 0, 5, and 1. So he's had a 6 and a 5 his last 6 and a 4, and then he's had a shutout and a 1. These are the guys that drive you nuts because you don't know what to do with them. So the 4 ERA is about right. Sandoval, we don't know. So we're going to have to pass on this game. We don't know who and what Sandoval is, and how can we say the 9's a good number? We don't know what the White Sox, if they can hit him or not. We don't know if anybody can hit him or not. Oakland at Detroit. Detroit 124-9. We got Perkins for Oakland 8-3-1 against Valdez 4-3-2. So Detroit will win against this guy, and everybody, oh, look, Detroit's back. Oh yeah, yeah, because they're playing Perkins with an 8-3-1. What do you expect them to get shut out? So Detroit 42-50, still a terrible team. I wouldn't pitch Skubal anymore, and I would just trade him. Actually, I wouldn't trade him. Nobody's going to give you anything for Skubal. Like, you're dreaming, because nobody wants a guy that's a quitter. Everybody wants Mizorowski because he's going to fight you to stay in. Got passion. He wants to win. I assume Skanes is like that. But here you got Skubal, a guy who doesn't want to win. He just wants to put his 4 or 5 innings in and say, see you later. And then if you need him in a playoff game, he's going to run away. So I don't know there's big demand for Skubal. I don't know how good he is. He's a 5-inning pitcher who quits. He's a quitter. He's like Anthony Richardson of the Colts, who tapped out. You don't want him. You don't want quitters. And so I don't know you're going to get anything for Skubal. And therefore, I would just let him go. Whoever wants him can have him. But now I can use that $30-40 million a year and go, hey, let's see what it'll take to get Mizorowski or Skanes. And maybe that's how I trade him. Can't get anything for him, but it opens up the $40 million. And now I can go after these guys. Maybe I can get Mizorowski. How much can Mizorowski be? $100 million a year? He'd be worth it. At least you know he's gonna pitch 7-8 innings in a meaningful playoff game, and nobody's gonna hit him. So that's kind of where we're at. What do you do with Skubal? But I wouldn't pay him a nickel. But he's there, and everybody can see it. You're not going to get anything for him. Let him go. Use the money. Get Skanes. Get Mizorowski, and off you go. I mean, how much are they paying those guys? All right, Jack Perkins for Oakland's lost his last four. He's 1-6 his last seven. Some overs, some unders. Goes 4 or 5 innings. His last 6 games: 5 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 7 runs. So Detroit should have a field day against them. Farmer Valdez, the Fromer, he's pretty bad. People thought he was good. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's 2-8 his last 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 overs and 2 unders his last 9. 4 runs, 1 run, 4 runs, 1 run, 1 run, 4 runs, 5 runs. So Oakland can hit, should light him up. Detroit will light up Perkins. So this should be an over. I would think Oakland gets 4 or 5 runs. Even if Detroit keeps them low, the bullpen won't hold. And Detroit should hit this guy with his whopping 8 ERA. It's going to come down. The over-under is going to come down to the bullpen. Do you get one of these days where 4 bullpen guys shut you out, or the 4 bullpen guys give up 4 or 5 runs? And that's really what this comes down to, because the starters will give up 7, 8 runs. Seattle and Minnesota and Miami, we got Seattle 129-8. We got Miller 153 against Junk 480. Miller for Seattle. Let's see. He's 5-2 his last 7. Some over, some under, which is surprising. He does have a low ERA, and the worst he's done his last 10 is 3 runs. 2 runs, shutout, 2 runs, shutout, shutout, 2 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, 0 runs. So, and that was 7 innings. He's got some 8 innings. He's a good boy. He's 1.71 ERA. He had a 5.68 last year, and he had a 2.94 the year before. He's all over the place. It's at Miami. Miami doesn't normally hit. Jason Junk, what kind of name is that for a pitcher? He's a junk pitcher, right? Nothing. His last 4 have gone over, and shutout 1, 4.78, and 1. So this guy. I mean, what do you get? Shutout 1, and then 4.78, and then a 1. Who did he shut out? Amazingly, he shut out St. Louis and the Dodgers. But that was a 6-inning shutout to the Dodgers, and he goes 4.78 to Atlanta, Tampa, and Washington. So nothing makes sense. He 1-runs Philadelphia. Maybe they don't try when he's pitching. Toronto, they won 8-2. So what do we do with this? Miller, very good ERA. Junk wins some, lose some. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. All right. Philly, Cincinnati. We got Luzario, who's been very good for Philly, against Brady Singer for Cincy. Philly, a big favorite, 155, 9.5. Luzario, we've been betting on Jesus. We got Jesus pitching for us today. And Jesus is hot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, Luzario. Wow. Oh, here he is. Yeah, okay. So he's and 5 overs in there. His last 6 has been, well, let's go back. His last 10, 0, 2, 0, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 1. And it really didn't matter. He got wins in both of the 5. So he's just wins. And we're going against Brady Singer with the 505. The Braid Man, Big B. He's lost. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's 1-9 his last 10. Brady Singer. Brady. 1-9. This could be the easiest play. This could be the lock. 435 342 1053. That's his phone number. No, that's his last 10. Last 6, 4210, and then a 5 and a 3. So let's go 4 units. This will be your third free play. We'll go Philadelphia. This is like the perfect storm. We got Jesus pitching, who is 8-0 his last 8, winning the Phillies have won with him pitching against Brady Singer, who is 1-9 his last 10. So Brady Singer can't win. Luzardio can't lose. It's the perfect storm. 4 units on Philly. But again, it's baseball, and you hope it's good. Milwaukee, St. Louis. We've got Henderson against Palante. I don't know who Henderson is. I'll tell you, Milwaukee, they got some pitching. Holy shit. Here's another guy with a 274. Milwaukee, 138 and a half. This could be an under. He's pitched 5 games. He's won his last 3. 4 of his 5 have been under. The 5 games was 2-2-2-1-0. He did go 6 innings. His last one was 5 innings, and he threw a shutout. So you don't score a lot on Logan Henderson. He pitched last year with a 1.78 ERA, and this year 2.74, but he only pitched 5 games. Well, he pitched 5 and started 5. So this guy's pretty good. We'll keep an eye on him against Palante for St. Louis, 3.60 ERA. And Jesus, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 7-1. Palantine, 7-1. And he is some over, some under. His last 6 have been 1-2-2, 1-5-0. So you're not hitting him. So this is that. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm getting a lot of good matchups today. I talked to my IT guy about football. So he changes the history every year. And he's got to change college. I changed my college to bowls. When I go, all bowls are whatever, $100. So he has to change that header on the thing back to 200 for 4 weeks of college is 200 instead of the bowls. And anytime you buy the pack, you get the lock. So if you bought the week for $100 and you get all the pro in college, you get all the locks. You can just play the locks. A lot of people do that. The locks are $75 for all the locks in the week. Usually early on, maybe 2 locks. And as we get into the meat, just like now, you get maybe 3 or 4 or 5 locks for both pro and college combined. So you might have 5 lock games in the weekend. But if you can buy the locks, or if you just bought the pro and college package for $100, you would get everything. So like here, $25 for baseball, you would get this Philadelphia lock. California at Texas. Texas 133-7. Now this looks like an over. We got Detmers 415 and Evaldi 403. Why is this 7? They totally missed the point. These are two good pitchers. These are two bad pitchers, 2.4 ERA pitchers. You're not getting under here. It's not like Mizorowski against Skange, and you figure it's going to be 2-1. Let's see. This guy is 6-2 his last 8. Reed Detmers. 3 unders and over and 2 unders. And then his last 6 is shutout 1, shutout 5, 2, 5. And when we look at the scores, 7 runs, 16 runs, 7, 5, a 1-runner against the Dodgers of all teams. He beats Tampa 14-3 and loses the Dodgers 1-0. But he has some shutouts. He has the last coup of giving up 5 runs. Evaldi 403. He's won his last 4. Some overs, some unders. His last 6 have been 4-4, 3-3, 0-3. So he gives up 3 or 4 runs. And most of these games are in this 8, 9, 10 range. All right, so this is just way too. This total of 7 is way too low. This will get over 7. Arizona, San Diego. We got San Diego 119-9. We got Kelly 5.76 against Canning 6.86. The 9 seems a little low here, but how long will the pitchers go, right? Well, let's see. Merrill Kelly has lost 2, 4, 6. He's 1-6 his last 7. What do you notice is that every pitcher goes through his streaks. So he did lose 6 in a row, and then he won. But before that, he had won 3 in a row. And the last 5 were unders. And his last 6 were 7 runs, 2, 6, 3, 5, 2. And you go, how the hell can these be under? 7 runs. That was his over, 14-1. And then he gave up 6 runs to California, and they lost 7-0. So he's lost a lot, and he's under a lot. San Diego. Now, this is just the reverse. This guy win some, lose some, a couple of unders and a couple of overs. And 5-inning guy, 1-7-1, 4-2-1. And the 4 was 2/3 of an inning. So this guy's not very good. I don't know what to do. Are we betting against Kelly? Yeah, he's 1-6. I don't know, but is Canning? So Kelly's bad, but how good's Canning that we want to bet against the guy's 1-6? But this Canning isn't much better. Can give up a lot of runs. So we're going to lay away from this game. Just 2 bad pitchers. Colorado against the 49ers. Feltner against the pitcher's name is TBD. And 49ers are 138.5. How can they be 130 when we don't even know who the pitcher is? So we can't play this one because we just don't know. All right. So I've given out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 games. $25 gets you 10 games. Free plays: Pittsburgh over 9.5, 3 units. Baltimore 2 units, and Philadelphia with Jesus pitching. How can Jesus lose? And that's going to be your lock, 4-unit lock. Take Philadelphia. So 3 free plays. Because I'm happy because my ticket was figured out. I shouldn't have points. Only $175. I'm telling my friend, this could be $500 for going through a flashing red now. I mean, I don't know what tickets cost. I wonder if I would have saw him and I'm going 10, 15 miles an hour through the light. Had I jammed on the brakes and went like through the subdivision, would he have pulled me over? Good question. Well, who the hell knows? All right. So that be baseball. And again, it's averages, it's streaks. Players get hot and they get cold. Pitchers get hot and they get cold. You get a lot of overs and then they get a lot of unders. The bullpens get hot, the bullpens get cold. Everybody goes through slumps and everybody goes through hot streaks. And that's what we got today. So we've been talking a lot about socialism, capitalism, because we've been seeing this New York mayor who's an idiot and the Seattle mayor who's an idiot. You know, the problem with people, you'll listen to somebody who looks nice, who looks confident, so you believe them. And you believe them because you don't know. So when I talk Austrian economics, and I talk about inflation is not prices going up, you don't know. So you agree with me because you can't contradict me because you don't know, but I do. So you listen and then you go, oh, inflation is not prices, it's money printing. But because I know this and I'm teaching you and I'm explaining, not most people don't even know what inflation is. Oh, it's prices. No, it's not. But they won't know. And the people who tell you, they just say, oh, inflation is going to be up this summer because gas prices will be higher and then the regular prices will be higher. And you believe them and they don't even know what inflation is. That's not inflation, especially if there's a shortage of oil because of the Straits of Hormuz. And because there's a shortage of oil, the price will go up. That's not inflation. That's a shortage of oil. There's more demand for supply. And that happens in any product. And that's what should be happening in gold and silver. There's a shortage of supply of gold based on the demand. So when people say supply demand, what does it mean? Well, equilibrium is if I want this shirt, this is one of these polo shirts. So if I want this shirt, is it available? And if it is, we agree on a price. I think I paid $35, $40 for this. And then they make more. And at $40, there's demand. And so you're always looking for where's the market. Now, as long as there's enough shirts to meet the demand, the price is pretty much set. But when you get a shortage like we have in oil or cocoa or gold and silver, the price goes up. Now, that's what should happen in a free market, right? Oil will go up and dark chocolate has gone up, and your gold and silver should go up because the supply is fixed and it's very low and the demand's huge, but you're not meeting the demand. Doesn't make sense. So because demand is very big and the supply is very small, you get it to equilibrium, you raise price. You raise it until the demand kind of diminishes, is what should happen. In this case, the demand won't diminish no matter what the price is. People will have to have gold and silver, and we've explained because the dollar's gone. The inflation is printing the dollar. But see, I actually explain it to you. So now you understand it, and you go, yeah, the professor told me. Now I know what it is, and I know why, and I can explain it. Now, a lot of people won't agree with you because they're hearing from Jim Rickard or Peter Schiff that inflation is prices going up, which it isn't. It's not prices going up. That's not inflation. Or deflation, prices coming down. No, it's all the market. If in the housing market the demand drops, prices go down. It's again, there's less demand than supply, and there's less demand for $500,000 houses, and the demand's going to $200,000 houses. And that's where we're at. And that's the whole point of it. The demand for the price, so you're always trying to match supply and demand. So you want 100 and you want 100 people wanting it. Like avocados. Okay, I have avocados. I have 100 people wanting it. And I have 100 I'm selling, and it's at $1.50 and everything's good. But when you raise the price at Meijer, they made avocados $2.99. I tell them to fuck off because I can go buy it cheaper at Walmart's. So I go buy it there. And that's the difference. So you're paying more at one place than the other. You substitute it and you go to the other place. Well, that's got nothing to do with inflation. Prices are controlled by the market. The market is us. So the market is what I will pay for a product. A phone, an avocado, a computer, markers, coffee mugs, whatever. That's what the market is. You sell something, is there a buyer for it? Now it helps when you know there's a buyer for it. You know people will buy clothes. You know they'll buy food. You know they'll buy glasses and stuff like that. You know they will buy it. And that's the key to it. And that's what you're trying to do in business is the market. Then you get these socialists come in and they say, oh, we're going to give you free, we're going to lower rent, we're going to freeze rent. Well, that's not the market. And this is why socialism can't work, because you can't assume what the market is. Again, the market is a seller selling to a buyer. The Bobby Bow card. Okay, is there a market for this? I'm going to sell this card for $10. Is there a buyer? Well, I know Bobby will buy it for $10. So that's what a market is. But socialism says you're going to sell this card for $2. And I'm like, I don't want to sell it for $2. It's worth $10. So you've broken the market when you force somebody to sell it under what he wants to sell it for. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be buyers at $2, but you won't have sellers at $2. And that's what price fixing does and freezing rents does. Who's going to have the apartment? Who's going to rent the apartment out? I need $10 for it. You're forcing me to sell it for $5. I'm not going to do it. And so there is no apartments to rent because the landlords or the owners of the apartment won't sell it at that cheap. And that's the problem with socialism. It gets away from free markets. It gets away from what the seller's willing to part with it for and what the buyer is willing to pay. So if in an apartment, if the seller needs $1,500, is there buyers at $1,500? If there is, it's a deal. If there isn't, then the seller has to go down. That's when the price goes down, is there's no buyers for it. But in socialism, you're forcing the seller to sell it for, instead of $1,500, you're saying you're going to sell it for $1,000. But he doesn't, he can, he doesn't want to. And the buyers, of course, will love paying $1,000. But in what world does that work when you don't have a market? You've broken the market. That's why you see these empty grocery shelves, because there's nobody who's selling will sell at the price that they have to sell it at. So they just don't play. And it's like gold right now. Gold's 41.25 or whatever it was. And nobody wants to sell their gold at that price because they know it's worth 10,000. So I'm not going to sell it at 41. Again, I need monopoly money, but I'm selling one. That's it. And maybe a half ounce. I haven't decided yet. But it's not a free market. These stores don't know what they're doing. They're looking at spots, selling it at 4,000. They don't realize they got something worth 10 grand. I do. That's why I bought and bought and bought until I ran out of money, paper money, because I knew I was buying something that was worth a lot more than they were selling for, because Comex and JP Morgan keep the price low on gold, not at the free market, not at the 10,000 that the buyer will pay for. So the buyer's sitting there going, I'll pay 10 grand for it. I need to get out of cash because the cash isn't worth anything. The $100 bill is worth $1. So what do I want to get out of that, and I want to get into gold and silver. So the market for gold and silver, the selling price would be much higher, but the buyer's willing to pay more. This is a really confusing reversal. Normally it's the price, it's the rent, right? I'm going to keep rent low. I'm going to keep rent at $1,000 a month, but nobody wants to sell it at 1,000. They don't want to give the rent that cheap. They need 2,000 for it. This is the one instance where they're keeping the price of gold down, and people will pay more for it than it costs them. It's a very, wait a minute, I'll pay 10,000 for the gold. It's only 4,100. And how is gold going down? That means there's no demand for it. There's plenty of demand for it. What do you mean options? What the options what does that have to do with anything? So you've taken the seller and the buyer out of the gold market, and all you have is the buyer going, God, this is really, you're only charging me $65 for silver, which should be 500. I'll buy all I can. That's why you see this in the free market. If we got rid of this option bullshit, as I've told you, there's 4.3 million tons of gold in the option world that doesn't exist. There's only 200,000 tons of physical gold. So how do you get 4,000 or 4 million tons when there's only 200,000 tons? So the price is based on 4 million, not 200,000. So the price should be much higher, but everybody's buying it cheap. They're going, wow, I only got to pay 4,000. I should be paying 10 to 15,000 for this. And I got to get out of dollars. So it's not even a choice. So I'm willing to pay this, and you're down here. So everything else is like up here, right? The house is 500 grand, but I'm willing to pay 3. But in gold, the market's up here at like 10, and you're selling it at 4. It's the strangest market I've ever seen, because we will pay more for something which normally we will pay less for. We don't want to pay $20 for the steak. We want to pay $10 for it. In this case, we're willing to pay 10 grand for the gold, knowing it's worth much more than that, because we got to get out of the dollar, because you've ruined it. There is no value in the dollar. So we're willing to pay here, but JP Morgan and the banks are keeping the price here. It's insane. I've never seen that, where somebody will pay more and you're pushing the price down. You can't figure it out. And I love the logic. Well, people won't go into gold if we keep the price low, and we'll keep people stupid about it. We won't tell people that the gold price is worth 10,000. Oh, gold's going down. It's crashing. It doesn't have the value. Nobody wants it. It's a paperweight. In reality, it's worth 10 grand. It's on sale for 4, but the banks understand it. And the central banks are buying tons and tons and tons, but they're telling you, oh no, it's crashing. There's no value in it. But in reality, and this is where they're reversing the idiot. So the idiot normally just makes up a lie and people believe it. And in this case, the lie is, oh, gold's only worth 4,000. But people like us who understand it, no, it's up here. It's at 10. I'll gladly pay 4 for it. It's the seller that is the idiot in this case. So the gold store doesn't know what to do and listens to the spot price instead of saying, this is worth 10 grand. I'm going to sell it for 10. And he would sell it. Problem is the other stores are too stupid. So they're selling it at 4. Your JD bullion, your SD bullion, they should be selling it at 10. They're selling it at 4. Everybody follows the spot price. So the demand's up here. I will pay 10 and the price is here. And it's the only thing that you can see. But people here don't realize its value is 10,000. We do. And then we go, well, when's it going to the 10? See, this is our discussion in class. It's worth 10, but its valued as 4. When's it going to go up to 10? And this is what frustrates everybody. Well, why isn't it 10,000? That's what the market will pay for it. And the answer is if it gets to 10, people won't want dollars. We want them in stocks. We want them in Bitcoin. We want them in bonds. We want them in crypto. We don't want them in gold because they lose track of us. There's no tracking in gold. You go buy an ounce for cash. You don't get nothing gets reported, and you have this ounce of gold. Nobody knows you have it, and it goes from 2,000 to 4,000. You just made $2 grand. You don't pay a nickel in taxes on it. You're free. You don't need the government. If you need money, you do what I do. I'll go sell an ounce and get monopoly money for it so I can pay some bills and birthdays and go play poker because I need money for that. And that's why I don't think we'll ever lose money. Even though it's not worth anything, they'll either come out with a new money or they'll just ignore it. Like Trump, we're the best country in the world and we're the smartest and we're the strongest. And even though we can't win a war and we're losing to Iran and we can't beat Russia with Ukraine, yeah, but look at us. But our money's worth more. No, gold's worth a lot more, again, because it's very limited. There's only this much gold and there's this much demand. In dollars, there's this much dollars, but the demand's down here. The supply's up here, the demand's down here, and the demand's down here because the supply's so big. You have this many, but you don't have enough people who are willing to pay for it. That's why it's worthless. And it's not backed by anything. So to come back to it, this is the demand for gold is not inflation. It is the demand for gold. The supply is fixed at 200,000 tons. BRICS owns, of the 200,000 tons, BRICS owns 190,000 tons. The rest of us want gold, need gold. And for the exact reason, because the dollar's broke. The U.S. is bankrupt. All these other countries not in BRICS are bankrupt. Maybe Poland has a lot of gold. It's not. And so the dollar is bankrupt. And so that forces you into gold. And we're willing to pay 10 grand for it. And this is the only thing that they want to keep the price down on. And so again, we're frustrated because we know it's worth 10 grand. This is an insanely smart way of showing it. The demand's 10 grand, but we can buy it for 4,100. And we're mad that it's not 10 grand. That's why we're pissed. Silver should be $1,000. We are willing to pay $1,000 an ounce for silver, and it's $65. And we're like, okay, we'll buy all you can eat at 65. That's why we say buy as much as you can. But really, we will pay more because we don't want to be in dollars because they're worthless, because they're printed too much. Nobody wants the treasuries. Everybody's dumping dollars to buy gold because gold you can't print, and gold you cannot lose value on gold because you can't print it. So this is why everybody's confused. Wait a minute, when will it hit the 10 grand? That's all I hear. Well, when's it going to go up? And it's at 4,100. When's it going to? Well, it was 2 and it went up to 4. Oh, it must be crashing because it went from 5,000 to 4,000. But it's not. But the demand hasn't diminished. The market's still up here at 10,000 or 20,000. The real rich people will pay 30,000 for it. So the value is much higher than it's at. And here it's at 4,100. We're mad that it isn't at 10 grand. But we really are smarter than the average bear because we've already bought it. we bought something worth 10 grand and and we didn't pay 10 grand for it. That's really where it's at. And so that's kind of, it's not inflation. It's the supply demand. It's always supply demand in every product. How does the supply look and how is the demand for the supply? And that's why prices change. So here, people want a New York strip and the price is up here. Well, it's a little too much. Lower the price to this and we'll pay for it. But you keep the price at 20, it's too expensive. But at $12, $13, then you've hit the market. And that's what everybody does wrong in business. They don't hit the market. They don't know where this is. We'll go to 20 and you're not selling it. You need to be at 13. And once you're at 13, you start selling it, keep it at 13. Well, it cost me 15. Then you got to get out of business. It's got to cover your costs. So if your costs are $10, so my New York strip cost me 10 and I got to be able to sell it at 15, but the market's at 10. I can't. I got to get out of business. I can only be in a business where it costs me 10 and I can sell it for 15. Right? If I can sell it at profit up here at 15, then I'm in business. Otherwise, I can't be in business. If my costs are over what I can sell it for, I mean, if it costs me 15, I can only get 10 for it. I got to get out of business. And that's why you see people leaving New York with this rent control crap. Well, I need 1,500 and this guy won't let me sell it for 1,500. I'm not going to offer anything. So I can't rent it out. I need 1,500. I can't get it. So I won't rent it out at all. I won't play the game anymore. See you later. I'll go move to Florida where there's no rent control and I'll buy apartments there and it'll cost me $1,000, but I can sell them for 1,500. So I just won't do it in New York. And that's what socialism doesn't catch is the competition. So if there's no competition, it still wouldn't work. But people on this side are going, hey, I can get rent for $1,000. Oh, really? And where is that going to be? If you move to Florida, maybe, but not in New York City, so everybody's happy. I don't have to pay as much. So my market comes down. Oh, I'm in New York, 1,500. Oh, it's going to go down to 1,000. But then there's no market here. There's nobody here. You know, the market's up here. You're forcing the market down, but everybody leaves the market. So you got this, but you don't have this side of the equation. That's why socialism or communism doesn't work. You're not listening to the market. The market sets the price, not the government. And you must have competition, which you don't allot especially in communism. It's the government runs everything, and there is no market. That's why the U.S. is so successful. We have markets. Me and you can open up an Apple store, and Joe and Blow can open up an Apple store, and Fred and Bill can open up an app, and we compete. And the customer, the market wins. And that's the idea. It's more people buying. We make money on it. The customer gets it for a good price and a good quality, like a phone, right? The phone's here. So you can get $100 phone and it's good quality and it must compete. So it gives you internet and I can get WhatsApp on it and I can get my bank on it and these apps and all this other stuff. So that's why capitalism works, is the free market, the opportunity for you to go into business and make a lot of money, and versus just the government being the business. And that's what Russia was like. I think it's opened up now, but and that's what these communist countries were like. There was the government running everything, and they're not paying attention to this. So if the avocado is here, the government would price it up here and nobody could afford it. We need $10, but there's no competition. I can't afford that. There's no market for it, but the government doesn't listen to the market. In a capitalist competitive marketplace that we have, there'll be somebody, I want to buy it here. There'll be somebody selling it there. There'll also be somebody selling here. He's the one that goes out of business. And the guy who finds the market is the guy that wins. And then other people see where the market's at. And then they go, I can make money there. As long as you can make money, and that's the whole point. It's the profit issue that's how the US works. That's why we're so successful. It's the profit motive. You can open up a business, be profitable, make some money, buy a house, buy a car. It's all the profit motive. Even when we go to work, you go get a paycheck, you make $85,000. Your costs are only $50,000. So you got $30,000 to go buy gold and silver and take trips and buy golf, play golf, and have steaks and all that, is because you actually made more money than you need at your job. But your skill set allows you to make that money. Oh, you got a master's in finance in 20 years. Yeah, you can make 100 grand. And if you don't, and you have a high school degree and really no skill set, then you can't. You can only make 40 grand. And does that cover? So you don't go play golf. You don't have enough. You don't have enough money to cover your expenses. And that's where the poor people come in. They haven't gotten it yet. The government helps me, but the government doesn't pay you much. That's the opportunity. You know IT. Oh, you know AI. Oh, we'll pay you 100,000 because you have this skill, and this skill will allow you to make money. So the skill allows you to make money. There's no such thing as this unfairness, all this crap. It's not fair. Everybody should make the same amount. In what world are you living? So wait a minute. You have a high school degree, and I got a master's, and we're supposed to make the same amount of money. And you're a doctor, and you're a lawyer, and you're in IT, and I'm in finance, and you have no background. You're a waitress. We're all supposed to make the same amount of money. I don't bitch that that a doctor or a lawyer makes more money than me. I make what the market will bear. So if somebody with a master's and 20 years experience at Ford, GM, and Mercedes makes 100 grand, then fine. It covers my cost. And that's all I worry about. And then with the extra, I buy gold and silver and some baseball cards and stuff. And that's fine. That's what the market does. It allows me, there's many opportunities because it's a free market society. There's 20 auto companies, and I can work at Ford, GM, Mercedes, and I have that ability. Or like I just worked at Harley. You have all those opportunities because all these businesses need financial people. And that's the thing. Now, AI, I'm hearing AI is, what is it? Nobody knows, but every time you use AI, there was two big bitches about AI I was watching yesterday. One was they have all your information because AI is doing searches for you and based on your company. So they're getting all your information of how your company works. And they weren't happy with that. And then the other thing is every time you use AI, so you do a search, it costs you money. So they're going through all their money, but what's the benefit of AI? There isn't any. There's no way in hell you're replacing your workers if you understand that. And every time you do a search with AI, you're getting charged. Well, shit, I'd rather have my employee. I don't have to pay him every time I pay him a salary. I don't have to pay him. Oh, he looked up my budget or my actuals for the month and my variance. Like everything I do, you don't pay for. You pay in one lump, and I produce a budget for you. And I produce the month end, and I produce journal entries, and I produce, how did we do it actually versus what we said we would in our budget. And it's called a month end variance, right? But you don't pay me for each little thing I do. You're paying me for your salary. Here's 40 hours and you do finance. And when we ask you questions, you give us the answers. And that's the whole idea of it. So I get paid based on my skill set that I can answer those questions. And it's based on my background allows me to get paid whatever I get paid. So there's no everybody makes $70,000 or the guy working at the grocery store makes as much as the guy in IT developing programs and stuff like that. It's a whole different skill set. The IT guy should make more than the stock boy. And I've been a stock boy, and I thought I got paid very good for being a stock boy. But that's really the point of it. So this whole equality socialist thing is just a bullshit taking off the market. We should all make the same. There should be a minimum wage. No, that's controlled by the market. This is the wage I can afford to pay somebody who makes hamburgers at Wendy's. And you want to, well, no, this is what we're going to do a minimum wage. You got to pay him this. No, first of all, the market says I can pay him that. Secondly, my whole financial background of running the analysis for the company, this is what I can pay $10 an hour for a guy to flip hamburgers. Minimum wage, oh no, you got to pay 15. You're not even in the market. You don't understand my business. You're just throwing out a number. And guess what? I can only pay him 10 in my cost structure. You're charging me 15. That makes me lose money, and then I'm out of business. So then everybody goes if you force me to pay more than I can afford. And that's what you're doing with this rent, and that's what you're doing with this grocery store, socialist mayor of New York. So the grocery store, we're going to give free groceries away. And how much are you going to pay the vendors to drop off the Cocoa Krispies and the Alphabets and the Pop-Tarts? How much are you going to pay them? And if you don't pay them, you've got to pay them for their goods. And if you don't pay them, you're not going to have any goods on the shelf. So what good is free groceries? So everybody thinks it's going to be like going to Kroger's where the shelves are full. Well, that's because you pay the vendor for the goods. In socialism, you probably won't, or you won't pay them enough, because if you're not going to charge people to shop there, where are you going to get the money to buy to pay the vendors to bring in the goods? Oh, we need cupcakes and cherries and Pop-Tarts and Coca-Cola. Where are you going to pay them if you're not charging the customers? That's how it works. You pay Coca-Cola and Disney or Coke and Hershey's and General Mills and Fruit Loops. You pay them and then you sell it and you make a profit. Well, if you're not going to charge people, how are you going to pay the vendor to deliver the goods? He's not going to do it for free. You might not want to charge your customers, but believe me, Coca-Cola wants to get paid, and Hershey's and everybody else, and the farmers with the cauliflower and the apricot and the avocados, they want to get paid for the goods. And if you don't pay them, they won't deliver. They'll go somewhere else who does pay, right? That's what happens when you don't pay. You're fucked. So what are you going to do when you don't have money to pay the vendors? You're not going to keep getting the food. So all this idea of, well, you'll have free food. It's an impossibility, because if you're not charging customers, how are you going to pay the vendors? Well, we'll just tax everybody and let them pay the vendors. That's not going to work. People who have a lot of money are moving to Florida or Texas or Tennessee, and the rest who maybe work Wall Street or whatever, they're gonna shop where they can afford to shop where they want. So you're making $300,000 on Wall Street. Well, yeah, I'll go find a grocery store that has inventory I can buy. I still need cherries and Coke and Pop-Tarts, so I will buy them at this grocery store has it. So I'm very leery that they'll have any inventory on their shelves at all to give the free food away, or the very inexpensive food. Good thought, terrible plan. The market is up here, and you're going to charge them here, but what are you going to pay the vendors up here going, pay me, and you're saying I'm only going to pay you this? The vendor's not going to deliver because you want to not charge and you want to give the food away. You still got to pay the vendor, and you got to pay the rent and the heat and the air conditioning, and you got to hire people to put the inventory on the shelves. So people think they're going to walk into Kroger's and they're going to walk into an empty grocery store. Where's my cherries? I'm expecting free Coke and free this and free French dressing and There's not going to be any. Meanwhile, 39 grocery stores have left. So now people are going, where's my food? And eventually everybody will leave to go to the other area. People will leave New York to move to where is the food. And that's what always happens. And the workers, oh, great, we got minimum wage. Yeah, but I had to lay off everybody because I couldn't afford it. So people move to the jobs. So people are moving out of California to Texas or Florida because they're smart enough to not tax you. They probably increase property taxes and sales tax. But minimum wage is a horrible idea, as is any socialism thing is a horrible idea. Anytime you get away from competition and free markets, it's a horrible idea. That's why I talk about laissez-faire. Leave it alone. Let the buyer and the seller talk. We don't need government involved. And if I want to sell this card for $20 and Bobby will buy it from me, then leave us alone. Here you go, Bobby. I want the 20. You want a picture of yourself, and we're all square. And that's how a market works. Oh, you want cornflakes? Okay, I want $4 for it. Okay, here you go. And we trade, and everything's a trade. And that's why this can't lose its value, because you're trading this for the cornflakes. But when you ruin it, and now it takes 10 of these for the cornflakes instead of 3, but I don't get at work, I'm not getting $200,000 now. I'm actually going from 75 to 65, but everything costs me more, but my wages don't go up because the company can't sell a lot of their shit because the price is going up. So they got to cut my wages. And there's no such thing as wage inflation. You make more money because they can afford to pay more money because they're making more money, and they're just, it's more profitable. So the more the profit, the better. But that's really what it is. So once you fuck around with the free market, I want to go to the grocery. I'm going to go do my, go to the grocery store. I need apples. I need some more avocados. Oh, there it is. And I pay for it. And as long as, I got 4 different grocery stores. I can go to Meijer's and Walmart's and Kroger's and my meat grocery store. And whoever has the best avocados at the cheapest price is who I'm going to buy it from. Because to me, an avocado is an avocado. An apple is an apple. Granny Smith. Coca-Cola is a Coca-Cola. So whoever sells it for the cheapest is where I'm going to buy it at. But that's the free market. That's the beauty of it. And really, it benefits us. The free market is for the consumer. There's 5 guys. So now there's 5 guys selling the Bobby Bow card. And I'm 10, or I'm 20, and then there's a guy for 17. And then there's a guy for 15. Who are you going to buy from? Well, the guy for 15, because it's the same card, but it's $15. That's what competition does. It lowers the price. Because you must compete, and you need to sell because you need to make profit so you can pay your expenses, your food, your clothes, your rent or your mortgage, your car payment, your insurance, your gas. You need to pay for all that. So you need a way to get profit. So most of us work or in some way need to make money. I had this discussion with my friend the other day. I says, you need to make money. You want to spend money, but you need to make it to spend it. And I think it opened her eyes. I think she was like, oh, fuck yeah. So I was nice. I didn't yell, but I was like, look, this is what needs to happen. And I think she got the message. But anyway, that's kind of what has to happen. John C., where have you been? Hello, happy 4th. So what we live in is a system of free markets and competition, and then the prices drop, the quality goes up. You want to buy this phone look at the quality of this phone But if there was no iPhone and there was other phones, this would be a piece of shit. But it's not. So let's see what our bullshit gold price is. All right, we're 41.27. Silver is above 60. So that's a good price. Bobby, where are you? Is your card worth $1 yet? I don't think Bobby's card's worth much. I'd be if I had to eat, if I had to sell this to eat, I wouldn't be eating. Bobby, if you only would have hit 500 more home runs, that's all we asked for you. Um, but yeah, he'll be on for college football. He's an LSU guy, so he will be on for that, I'm sure. Even though he just got his July 1st paycheck. How long does that go till 2030 or something? When we run out of what happens when we run out of money? What's he going to get for his paycheck? See, that was a terrible deal for Bobby, but he didn't understand it because since the dollar lost all its value, the $1 million he gets now versus the $1 million he got in 2005 or 2010 is worth a quarter of what that was. So I said to counter it, buy gold with it, and then you'll make all the money back on the gold. But that's what it is there's different markets, and it's all about making profit so you can pay your bills. And because of competition, I can live here, I can live there, I can live in different cities, in different states. Certain states have no taxes. Then you got California with all these taxes. And California will go broke soon because everybody's moving out. They have Silicon Valley. So what they're doing is taking advantage of Silicon Valley by taxing them up the butt, but then they're starting to move out of California and go to Texas or Florida. A lot of regular people moved to Vegas, although Vegas got screwed. With these idiots running it. I swear, I don't get, a lot of them are Keynesians, and they don't understand. You can see everything collapsing with the Keynesians. You can print as many dollars as you want, and it won't have any effect. And you're just like rolling your eyes going, it's a terrible thing. It has a huge effect. What are you talking about? So anyway, we buy gold because you can't interrupt the supply of it. The supply can't shoot up. So in other words, if the supply's here, the value's here. If the supply goes up, like in the US dollar, the price goes down. In gold, you can never have the supply go up because, they dig it out of the ground, but they've dug it out of the ground. There's 200,000 tons. There's not a whole lot left to dig. So the supply maybe goes up a little, but the demand goes up because they know the supply's here. That's it. That's all you're building. So that they know the value will go up from there. And the more people demanding the gold and the silver, the higher the price goes because you can't really fuck with the supply. You can't make more. And that's why the dollar, to go print the dollar, you make more, you need more dollars. You got to pay Social Security and interest on the debt and government employees and their pensions, and you don't have enough money. And you're always $2 trillion short. You have 5 and you spend 7. So the dollar can never, that's why I laugh when, inflation's down. No, inflation can never be down because you've printed the money and you're printing more money every month. How can the money supply go down when you keep printing and printing and printing? And people are selling your treasuries to buy gold, so they don't want it. So the demand to take your dollars is gone. So that means the price goes down. So the real price of the dollar is probably zero. The real price of gold is probably 10 to 15,000. If you understand and aren't an idiot and just listen to some of these idiots on YouTube who don't explain it and don't really know what's going on. So I hope I explained it properly to you. You should know what is going on. And again, it's the supply of things that there's a lot of avocados out there. So it should only be $1 or $1.50 for an avocado because of the supply. It's the healthiest food you can eat. That's why I have one every day. When I run out, I go buy 10 more. but that's really it. Um, and the gold, you can't print the supply. So that's really where it's at. I got my haircut yesterday. Look okay. And I was asking, have you bought silver? She says, no, I can't afford it. I go, well, you really can't afford to hold dollars. I assume as a hair cutter, you make enough to cover your expenses or you'd find another job. So what are you doing with the excess income that you make from cutting here? You pay your expenses and then you should have extra money because you should make enough cutting here. And then what do you mean you don't have money for silver? That's critical, is to have money for silver, because that'll be your second job, will be the silver going up and the gold going up. And I kind of laugh at her like, you're an idiot. You don't really understand. You just fight me saying, well, when's it going to go up? Is it going to be 5 years or no, it's happening right now. Silver was $20 suppressed, is now $65 suppressed. Gold was 1,700 or 1,000, and now it's up to 4,100 suppressed. It's all not a real price. We're not at market. We're not where we still haven't hit this. We're here, but we haven't hit the real what people will pay for gold and silver, which will be way up here because the alternative is to hold the dollar. And then here comes Bitcoin as the alternative to gold. And demand for Bitcoin, is down here, as it should be, because, well, it's limited to 21 million. 21 million what? Well, Bitcoins. Why do you call it a coin? It's not a coin. It's a bit. It's not real. It's fantasy. And that's the other part. Gold, we can see. We know it's real. At the end of the day, you want real stuff. You don't want, well, it's a Bitcoin. Where's the coin? Well, we don't really have a coin. And it's all bullshit. So you want real things. You want things that you can have. Again, we'll be buying a house with 2 or 3 ounces of gold. And you won't have a mortgage because, that's going to pay for the house. No mortgage. And off you go. So that's the whole point of it. So it's always about getting enough money to pay your expenses, and the extra is what you invest. And you can buy stocks, or you can buy bonds, and you can buy gold and silver or baseball cards. There's one thing I wanted to show you. There's this guy going to this card show. Oh, I wanted to show you this. So this guy went to a card show. With Walmart summer style, you can leave. And he's trying to say he doesn't like graded cards.
He's going to another card show? Yes, I am. I had a chance to go to my local card show, as one could call it, the GG2 show at the Northwest Arkansas Convention Center. This is a 200 table affair put on about 4 times a year, and it is only 8 miles from Topps Mike Schmidt for half the cost of getting the card graded in the first place, but still somehow 15 times the price the same card would be if it was just in your hand. And to beat this dead horse until it is really, really dead, not too long after I found a 78 Topps Nolan Ryan for $1. The same dollar box had this 75 Bob Gibson in it, which is now part of my collection. And to take this beaten and dead horse and make glue, here's an 80 Topps traded Griffey rookie in a PSA 9 for a barely above the cost of grading $40. And at the very...
Okay, so a lot of what this guy talks about Um, these ungraded cards, they're really not worth anything. They're not like the Montana rookie. Ungraded is maybe $50. As a PSA 9, maybe it's $1,000 or two, but as a PSA 10, it's 110,000. Now he doesn't agree with getting cards graded, which I think if you got the right card, you got the Montana rookie, you have to get it graded. If you get it graded, it's worth 110. Now the question is that real? And then the question with PSA is there's a wait. It's 3 or 4 months by the time you sell it to the time you get it. And then he's saying it's Joe Blow. There's one real guy who does the Mantle and Babe Ruth cards, but most of these cards are graded by some guy who's only been there a few months who doesn't understand anything. So he's like one for not getting your cards graded. I like the feel of them and the smell of them. Translation, he's got burnt by his choice of cards and he doesn't understand the value. When I get the 68 Willie Mays, I know it's going to be worth a lot graded. That's why I go into eBay and I see it for $80,000. I go, that's what it's worth. So if I saw that at a card show and I can grade it myself, good center and good corner. Now his objection is, well, the guy at PSA isn't a good grader, or you're not that's necessarily getting your card back. Translation, the guy gave a card he thought was a 10 and got an 8 back on it, and he's pissed. So he's saying, oh, don't get your card graded. Now, my fear has always been, am I going to get my card back? Because you can't really do anything with your card. I can't send this into PSA and write HR in the corner. It'll ruin the card. So I'd never know if I get this card back. And that's always been my problem. Am I going to get my Montana rookie that looks like a 10? Am I going to get that back? Or are they going to switch it and give me a PSA 8 Montana and the grader keeps my Montana 10 and makes $1 million on it? And that's always been my thing. But I thought this was interesting. This guy at the card show, he bought a big box, paid $700, and he's going through the box and seeing what's in there. And, these are the Nolan Ryan. They don't have a great value, these others. I have some of them, but I don't see them, that they have a $1,500 value because he's not popular. That's why I tell you to get Mantle and Mays and get Kareem and get Jordan and get Joe Montana and Tom Brady, because there'll be demand for them. Nolan Ryan, great player, but he doesn't carry the value, or does Randy Johnson or even Ken Griffey Jr. Doesn't really give you the value of it. So that was kind of it. You had the Russians attacking Kiev again. This was a couple days ago, and they just sent a lot of drones into Kiev. They don't know how to end the war because it's a war that really they don't want to end. All the NATO leaders and Trump will get voted out of office because then you won't need them. And so they keep making it, oh, Russia's going to come all the way to Germany and invade like they did in World War II to scare people into thinking you need me to protect you against the war, which, right or wrong. But once it ends, they will be voted out of office. This guy.
Life is full of a symphony of sounds. Make sure you hear every note.
Welcome back. We are joined today by Einar Tangen, a senior fellow at the Taihe Institute.
All right, so this guy's pretty good. I never heard him before yesterday. Einar Tangen, talk about Chinese. I'm just going to share at the 11-minute mark.
To make things less easy, create less friction during the process, whether it's logistics, manufacturing, or finance. And this combination is continuing to help China remain competitive. It can produce goods cheaply, it can get them to you cheaply, and it makes receiving payment or making payment cheaper and faster. So this is what China is trying to do. We'll have to see how it works out, but if it's successful, as I said, be prepared. It's going to be a different world.
What this implies, though, is by having this digital one, which is internationalized, what we're talking about then is also de-dollarization as a side effect, at least. That is, the US dollar will be less appealing, I guess, in international trade. But as we said before, it's not as if everyone's going to shift to the Chinese currency. But how do you see this working? Will they work side by side, or do you think that once the American dollar begins to be used less, bubble will burst? And I mean, how do you see the money markets working like this?
Okay, so a nice way of just saying, hey, Einar, what's going to happen when everything falls down?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so let's put it this way. China is not, as I said earlier, trying to replace the US dollar. It doesn't want that place. It thinks it's dangerous, so obviously they're going in a different direction. Okay, so what is happening there? Well, China has about 140 out of 195 countries that are registered in the world. 140 of those, about 70%, are in fact China and that country when trade partners. So obviously there's a need to cut the risk between trades between these countries. So that is what really China is doing. The US dollar is used in international transactions. It's used in a lot of financialization. This is the kind of making bets, turning the world into a giant casino, not betting on putting money into companies, but betting on what will happen in the future. So China is just simply trying to make things more efficient. So therefore, it is a competitor in the sense that it's an alternative to the US dollar, but it does not wish to supplant it. So where does is the dollar's true weakness? The dollar's true weakness has nothing to do with China. It has to do with the fact that it has this massive 40 trillion in growing debt, which it has no intention or ability to repay or even a plan to repay it. And the fact that the digital systems that are coming up, and China won't be the only one. There will be others as well. Europe has their ideas. Obviously, the Middle East could do something. You could have different continents trying to create digital markets for trade. Why? It's cheaper. This is about the market. If I'm a business and it's going to take me, $100 to make a transaction versus $20, guess what? I'm going to go for the $20 solution, as long as it's secure and safe. And this is really where the dollar is very weak. The existing systems protect a lot of enfranchised players in terms of the banks, credit cards, rating agencies. They're all they want to hang on to the system as long as possible. Why? Because they collect fees from it. And those fees, power their businesses and their bonuses and things like this. And coincidentally, they have a lot of clout in Washington. But this is an international issue. And no matter what they do with the US dollar, they cannot make other countries adopt it as their trade system. Donald Trump has made all sorts of threats. If you do anything this way, 100%, 10,000%, whatever, I'm exaggerating, tariffs, he's going to make you adhere to the American system. But we all know that doesn't work. And that's why smuggling began. Even if you make it illegal, people will find other ways, especially if it's a lot cheaper. But in this particular case, they can choose legal means to settle their trade. And China's a big part of that trade internationally. With alternatives. And China, as I said, is just going to be one of them. And so, right now, it would be nice if the U.S. Treasury, instead of trying to protect Donald Trump, would be laying plans for its own digital currency, and then also how the U.S. deficit can be dealt with. Not only the deficit, but the huge debt pile as well. Because right now the U.S. is sailing around along basically on about $2 trillion a year of yearly deficit. That means every year the U.S. borrows about $2 trillion. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit more in order just to pay its bills. So that money is piled on top of the debt pile. And as I said, you have to deal with the deficit, and you also have to deal with the debt pile while still growing the economy. And yet I hear very little about this other than we're going to make America great again, which is a slogan, not a plan.
Yeah, on that though, because you are correct, it is a slogan, but I think many people.
So what he's saying is, back to the market, the U.S. doesn't make enough money to have extra to spend, so they can't invest. So the U.S. makes X, spends Y, and that's why you got a $40 trillion debt, and it's going up $2 trillion a year because we make $5 trillion, but we spend $7 trillion. Why are we spending $7 trillion a year when we only make $5? What kind of idiots are running the government, the treasury, and everything else? What are you doing? And then the interest rates will go up. And so their idea is we'll print money to pay the $2 trillion. And they don't realize by paying the $2 trillion, by printing it, you make it worthless. And that's where we win, and the government doesn't get it. We understand they're printing the money, and we understand if you print the money, it becomes worthless. Hence why I say we're bankrupt, and hence what the fuck are they doing in the government to not cover this? I mean, this is just insane. You've got to cover this. You can't spend $2 trillion and then the idea of we'll print the money, and that's why we buy gold. You can't print gold. You can never print gold to cover your expenses. It's physical, and that's what it is. That's why we're not on a gold standard, because the government has no idea what they're doing. It's a bunch of idiots in the government, and they're printing money like Jim Records. Well, we can just keep printing as much money as we want. No, you can't. You're a fucking idiot. You can't do that because it makes the dollar worthless. And their argument will be you can print as much as you want, but they won't get into, well, wait, if we do, we'll kill the value. And then they come up with prices, and they deflect it with, well, the prices are only 2%. That's because the market says I'm not paying $10 for a Coca-Cola or $2 for a New York strip. So the market keeps the prices down, and then they use that as the inflation guy. Well, look at it, the prices only went up 2%. No, you idiots. It's the printing of the dollar. That $2 trillion you print every year is what kills the value of the dollar. And you have a lot more debts that you owe besides just the 40 trillion is treasuries. So let's clear that up. It's the 40 trillion is what you owe for treasuries, but there's also Social Security and all the government employees and their pensions. It's another 60 trillion you owe. Right. So paying out Social Security has got nothing to do with the $40 trillion debt. It's in lieu of the interest on the debt. Where's that? You pay $1 trillion a year. Well, that's not in your 40 trillion. The 40 trillion is just the treasury. You actually owe like $120 trillion is what you owe. And you're just going to not pay it back. And too bad. So sad. And then it's going to be people like us who are not into gold who will get hurt. Well, sorry, the value of your 100 grand in the bank's worthless. And how's that? How are people going to react to that? We aren't in the bank anymore. We're not in the market anymore. We are into gold and silver. And when you kill the dollar, we're all millionaires because we have gold and silver, which will be the only thing with value. And the mantle cards and the other graded cards will have a lot of value because it's what people will pay for it. Unless he's saying these auctions are fake, but that's why we go to eBay and we go, no, it's not fake. And it does seem to be PSA 10s versus Beckett or other 10s seem to have a much higher value than that. Anyway, so I found that guy going to the card store and the card show, and I watched it a little bit, but it's like there's a reason that Nolan Ryan was in the dollar bin. The condition was probably poor, and that's probably all he can get for it. So the market's saying we don't really care about a 1980 Nolan Ryan card, but we do care about a 1981 Montana rookie or a 1975 Walter Payton rookie or an Earl Campbell rookie or Tony Dorsett rookie. We do care about those, and half of the 70s Steelers we do care about. That's what we care about. That's what will give it value. But if you don't get it graded, there's a risk it's not real, or we don't know what the real grade is. So PSA 10 makes it real, and then I will pay more for it. As far as I can see with eBay, it's a very real price. This auction happened. This guy paid $100,000, and 5 other guys paid $100,000 for the Montana rookie. So yeah, I think it's pretty real. Anyway, so I had a chance. This is a good. This was a good one. I've never heard of this guy before.
Full-time trader. We have like
I'll end it. We're at 2 hours anyway. So this will be the last thing. Let's quickly go through baseball today. I gave you 3 free picks: Pittsburgh over 9.5, Baltimore to win, and Philly. Jesus is pitching. That's our 4-unit lock. Let's check our last gold. So gold's doing well, 41.35. It's just gone up and up and up today, which is good. We keep seeing at 41.60, 41.80, and it poops out. So this is very promising that the West bought it, and the U.S. When's the last time we see the U.S. go up after the 10 o'clock drop? We didn't even see much of a 10 o'clock drop, and then it's up and up and up. So we might get a 4,200 today. I might look into selling it today. Even if I get a 4,200 instead of a 41, it's only $100. I mean, it's not that big a deal in the long run. I need the $4,000 to have walking around cash, and it's just monopoly money. So, again, I didn't buy the gold to profit take, and I didn't buy the gold to sell it. It's really to prevent when the dollar collapses that I have value in something besides the dollar, which is why you buy the gold. So it's not a profit taking thing. All right. So this is the AI bubble and what's really going on. So this is kind of interesting.
As they are marketing it to be in its current form, they would not be charging us for tokens. Instead, they'd be charging us for building $1 billion business
AI.
idea where they would take 30% of the revenue. Because think about how you pay for anything in business. You pay a lawyer to win a court case. You pay a contractor to remodel your house. The price you pay is attached to a specific result. Now, AI companies do not work that way. They charge us per what's called token usage. Now, a token is basically a word. Every word the AI reads and every word it writes for you, we pay for that. Whether the answer was good or was really bad, and Alex Karp is basically saying, why would they price their business that way? Why wouldn't OpenAI, ChatGPT, just say, only pay me when it works? If we create a good idea for you, give us a cut of your income.
But I'm telling you, in this country, at every single enterprise I deal with, these people are livid. They're like, I am paying for tokens that create no value. These people are stealing the weights and alpha of my business, and they're creating a wealth tax that does not help the poor. It just punishes, starts with the billionaires. Every single person at this table is going to be paying a wealth tax only to punish us.
If they were confident that this thing created this value, that would be the easiest sales pitch in history. Pay us nothing unless we make you money and unless we build you $1 billion idea. But they can't offer that because these models do what's called hallucinate, right? This is where they confidently make things up. And nobody, including the people who built them, could tell you when or really why it happens. Right? No one's been able to figure out how to fix it completely.
You'll notice that both Anthropic CEO Dari Amadei and Sam Altman have both said, we can't wait to see what you build with this. Well, that's because they don't know what you can build with this. They want everyone else to do their innovation for them, spend as much as they can on tokens, take whatever's left, except they lose too much money for that strategy to actually work.
And that puts every corporation in America in a very awkward situation. Because let's say you're the CEO of a corporation, right? You just spent $50 million on AI this year. So your board of directors asks you a question. They're like, what did we get for this $50 million we just spent? What's the ROI? And you're like, I don't know, right? We don't have a number. Nobody has a number. Corporate America is paying subscription fees on a technology whose outcome we cannot measure. And it gets worse, though, because not only can we not measure it, we are also risking our company's secrets and potentially creating a competitor. Here's what Alex has to say about that.
But something has gone completely wrong. And the basic view among enterprises in this country is I'm going to chillax and waste my time with tokens. I'm going to get no value and they're going to get my IP.
The fear for all these CEOs is that when your company uses these models, your data flows through them, right? Your process, your trade secrets, the special sauce that makes you profitable, which Alex Karp calls the alpha. So what happens when the AI company that you use learns from your business? It just becomes your competitor. And this is not a hypothetical thing, by the way. Anthropic launched a design product called Claude Design while having a relationship with a company called Figma, which is a design company. Figma's CEO publicly said he was shocked. So picture being a business and then watching that. You're paying your vendor millions of dollars a year to use their AI, but what you're actually doing is paying them and training your own replacement. So what's the solution then? This is where it gets really interesting.
But what is happening among the most technical players is they're saying, I want something I own. This is my business. I want to own the GPUs. I want to own my data. I want to own the model. I want to control the alpha. Why would they get access to my data if they're going to build my alpha? Why wouldn't I control the weight?
Right. What that means is instead of renting an AI from someone, instead you just download one, you run it on your own computers using your own data where no one can see it and no one can learn from it. And also no one can shut it off. He then goes on to say, though, that most businesses don't even need the latest and greatest cutting edge AI because you don't need the smartest one to process insurance claims. Right? You need one that's specifically really good at insurance claims. And what's interesting is that Alex Karp profits from this business model as well. So why would he be saying all this? What's his motive? Because remember, France, Germany, Spain, they're canceling their contracts. Palantir has been losing those contracts across Europe all year. Now, 2 days before that interview, Palantir announced a partnership with NVIDIA to sell open models in sovereign environments. Basically, that interview was a product launch for his new service, which is why he's out there telling other companies to download and own their own AI. So that is the first problem with AI. Nobody trusts it. But there's a second problem that's even bigger. Now, before I explain the second problem, everything in this video, like the AI spending and whether this is a bubble at all, depends completely on where you're reading it. And that's where today's sponsor, Ground News, comes in. Ground News is
I
an app that
hate
shows
when
you
they
the
do
same
these commercials.
is why tech companies are the most valuable companies on earth. Now, AI broke that model. And how they broke it was every single time you ask ChatGPT a question right now, it costs OpenAI money because it uses electricity. Chips are being worn down. So more customers does not translate to free money anymore. More customers means more cost dollar for dollar. So AI is not a software business. It's more like a restaurant. Right? Every time a meal gets served, somebody has to buy the ingredients every time. Except this is a restaurant that loses money every time it serves food. And its plan to fix it is to serve more food. Now, let me give you some context. In 2025, OpenAI burned over $20 billion in just 1 year.
Well, they'd be the first to be this bad other than WeWork, and even then, this is so much worse than that. OpenAI burned $20.9 billion in 2025. That's the audited financials that the FT and I reported. And the problem with these companies is their margins are getting worse, and their costs increase linearly with their revenues.
So he's basically saying that costs increase linearly with revenues, right? The two lines are going up together, and the gap never really opens up. Now, for 25 years, every investor has been trained to be patient with this because they say, well, they're losing money now, right? But at scale, their margins will get better. Right? Amazon lost money for years. Except with AI, we just keep on waiting, and the margins are getting worse because every new model costs more to run than the last one. And the market is starting to notice it.
There is no proof that they can improve their margins. No amount of specialist silicon or supposed Vera Rubins will bring these costs down. And we're at a point now where OpenAI is now potentially pushing their IPO to 2027 because they couldn't get $1 trillion valuation. It's clear that people are wising up to the problem of generative AI, which is there's not really a business there.
Now, all of this, by the way, is not just OpenAI. Because look at who's paying to build all of this. This is from Oracle's annual report.
Oracle is a particularly scary one because they are building 7.1 gigawatts of capacity just for one customer. And they even said in their annual report that the risk was they might not get paid. OpenAI only loses money. And I think I estimate it's like $75 billion of revenue annually that they will have to pay for the full Stargate data center project in annual compute revenue. OpenAI can't afford that. And if they can't, Larry Ellison can't afford to pay back those bills, and Oracle stock will be in jeopardy along with the margin loans that Mr. Ellison holds. It's genuinely dangerous.
So Oracle is building the equivalent of several nuclear power plants worth of electricity for basically one customer. A customer that just lost $20 billion. Here's my favorite one, though. NVIDIA sells its chips to a group of smaller cloud companies. They're called neoclouds. Now, those companies borrow billions of dollars to buy NVIDIA's chips, and NVIDIA rents them back.
I think companies like CoreWeave, and especially Nebius and IRN and Cypher Mining and all of them, TerraWolf as well, they're basically outgrowths and they're subsidiaries of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now, according to the information, going to be paying them to rent back their GPUs when they install them in the data center. This is something that only happens in an industry without diverse and real demand.
So what he's saying there is that NVIDIA's sales are partially funded by NVIDIA. That's like a car dealership lending you money to buy a car and then paying you to borrow the car back for the weekend. And then reporting all of it as demand. Now look how much profit we're making.
So what did he just say there that stuck out? He says there's no demand for the product, which is what I've been screaming at the whole time. What is AI? It's not needed. You have Excel, you have Google. What are you searching for? Who won the World Series? I don't need AI for that. And then it's very expensive AI. It sounds like a big Ponzi scheme. Another big Ponzi scheme. Again, it's not needed. There's no demand for the product. So it's like selling, I'm going to sell a coffee mug here, the Bear, and nobody wants it. Oh, but you want it, but I spent $100 million making the mugs and nobody wants it. So you lose. All these companies are going to lose. Oracle, this Elon Musk thing, all he does is lose money. He loses money in Tesla. He loses money in the Starlink. He's going to lose money in AI because he does these government projects. Somehow he gets the government to give him money. And then, I don't know, and then he goes broke and he gets another one. The electric car nobody cares. And in the U.S., he sells it in China cheaply because China puts a subsidy on it. Here's AI. Nobody wants it. It doesn't do anything, and it's very expensive. Well, I thought I was going to lay off all my employees, and I didn't think I'd have to pay for the OpenAI. So if I'm making $100,000 and you lay me off because you get OpenAI, do you think it's free? No, it's going to cost you $500,000 to replace me, and it won't be necessary. You won't know if any of the data is good, and you won't be able to analyze any of the data because it's just data pulls. So this is what's happening. So I wanted to close with that. So do not invest in OpenAI. That's why I steer you away from these stocks, because they're not is there demand for them and there isn't? What is the return on investment? As you said, ROI. In other words, why should I get AI? Well, it's going to save me $1 billion. Well, no, it isn't. It's going to cost me. And there's really no point in open AI. It doesn't do anything. So keep that in mind. This is the point. You've got to be very careful with it, and just stick with there must be demand for it. That's why it's simple. Just buy gold. You know the demand's there, and just go and buy it, and that's all you got to do. So this whole open AI crap just doesn't make any sense. So it's not needed. There's no demand. It's extremely expensive. And if you're in stock in any of these, I would tell you to sell it. And I would just, as I say, don't be in the stock market. It's all made off. The whole fucking stock market's made off. Now it's going to collapse because you're going to sell your Nifty and you're going to sell your all these other Starlink and Tesla and all this is bullshit. Oracle, they're going to go out of business because they wasted billions of dollars. And that's it. So you have all this bullshit. That's why the stock market will crash. Well, it could be in 5 years. No, it's going to be in 5 weeks. It could be in 5 months, but it will collapse. The housing prices are collapsing, and that's the whole point of it. So just be very careful. That's why you found the golden goose, and it's actually gold and silver. What are you fucking around with? Well, the price, you said it's here, but it's here. Well, it's there because it's suppressed, and it's a paper price, but the physical price is up here. People will pay this because you have no choice, because your only option to get out of monopoly money, your only option is to go into the gold. That's your only option. It's not Bitcoin. It's not the stock market or AI or any of this crap. There is no value in it, so you don't want to be in it. Just sit in gold and just wait. Well, it hasn't gone up yet. It's going up. China, BRICS, they're all buying the shit out of it. Just read it and understand it's suppressed by JP Morgan and the Fed because they don't want you to leave the dollar because they're exposed that they don't know what they're doing and there's nothing there. So just understand that. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So again, your free play, again, Pitt over 9, Baltimore and Philadelphia with G pitching. That's a 4-unit lock, and that's it. And my phone's a little bit, so I'm keeping holding. I think I'm either going to put a rubber band around it or get one of those like phone holders if they'll hold it. So you can see it's starting to come apart, and so I got to be careful because if it falls, I think I lose the whole phone. I'll lose the connection. So I got to be careful, but I got to get a rubber. I don't think I have a rubber band. Who doesn't have a rubber band? So anyway, that's what's going on. So AI, be careful. The market, be careful. Gold and silver. Oh yes, that's what I always want to end on. So we were at 60.49 silver and 41.32 gold. So happy days on that. So that's pretty good. So I think maybe I will go sell my gold today, or maybe I'll give it one more day. It did fall to 4,000, and I said, shit, here it goes again. And now it just jumped right back to 41.32. So hopefully I can get, but even if I get a 42, it's only $50, $60 more. Who cares, right? I need the monopoly money. Like I say, birthdays, and I can't even play poker. I don't have $300 to play poker in monopoly money. I have it in gold and silver, but they're not. I can't bring $300 worth of silver to the table, which would now be $60. Would be 5 ounces of silver, but I don't want to give up 5 ounces. That's why the gold. But I'll pen either an ounce or a half ounce, and that'll last me for 8-9 months, and then we got football coming up. So anyway, have a great day. www.teaserking.com. Questions, comments, please email me from there, or you're obviously welcome to comment here. That's the point, is to kind of question it, and go from there. But the card show, the guy didn't get it. He won't get his cards graded, which, you've got to get the Mays or the Mantle or the Montana rookie or the Brady card. Those you want to get graded, because the person doesn't know what the card is. Now, are they okay? The guy's been working at the store for 6 months. Well, it's not that hard. You're looking at the corners, the centering, and the edges. Are they okay? And if they are, then it should be 10, right? As simple as that. And that's the whole point. And if you buy these cards, the dollar Nolan Ryan, they're probably in shit condition, and that's why they're $1. And he had a lot of them, which means it's not limited. So the guy didn't know what he was doing by getting these cards. I got I got a Wade Boggs rookie. Well, those don't have a value. Nobody likes Wade Boggs. Well, I got a Nolan Ryan 5th-year card. Well, it's not worth a lot because they overprinted. That's what this guy doesn't understand. I'll go through his maybe tomorrow and go through it. But I got to get a rubber band here. I don't want to lose my phone. Anyway. That's what's going on. Maybe I'll go. I don't know who would have a phone protector type of place. That's what I gotta, and then just kind of lock my phone in place. Anyway, that's what's going on. So www.teaserking.com. Have a real good day. Again, gold going up 41.32 and silver 60.47. Again, let's get it to 45 to 5. Again, the market's here at 10 grand and they're selling it here. So they want the market to go way up here. They want you to leave this and go into the monopoly game of the treasuries, the stocks, the Bitcoin, all the cash, because they want to tax you, and they can't tax us in gold and silver, because when it goes from 2,000 to 3,000,